ऐतिहासिक समझौता हमारे किसानों, हमारे छोटे उद्योगों, इसके यूरोपियन मार्केट तक पहुंच आसान बनाएगा, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग में नए अवसर पैदा करेगा और हमारे सर्विसेज सेक्टर के बीच सहयोग को और प्रबल करेगा।
It brings together Indian skills, services and scale with Europe's technology, capital and innovation. It will create levels of growth that neither side can achieve alone. And by combining these strengths, we reduce strategic dependencies at a time when trade is increasingly weaponized. We will discuss this and more at our first EU-India Business Forum later today.
And trade is crucial geopolitical stabilizer and the fundamental source of economic growth. Trade agreements reinforce rules-based economic order and promote shared prosperity. That's why today's free trade agreement is of historic importance. One of the most ambitious agreements ever concluded, creating a market of 2 billion people.
India has just signed what Prime Minister Narendra Modi has called the mother of all trade deals. The free trade agreement with the European Union is not just another economic pact. It marks a turning point in how India positions itself in a rapidly fragmenting global trade order. Finalized on January 27, after years of stalled talks and last-minute compromises, the India-EU FTA links two massive economic blocs. Together, India and the 27-nation European Union account for nearly 1/4 of global GDP and a combined market of almost 2 billion people. The scale alone makes this deal historic. But what does it actually mean for India? Let us understand. To understand the impact, it is important to look at why this deal matters now. Negotiations began over a decade ago but collapsed in 2013 over tariffs, market access and regulations. Talks were revived in 2022 as global trade became more uncertain. Supply chains were breaking, protectionism was rising. Both India and Europe realized diversification was no longer optional. For India, this deal comes at a moment of economic confidence. Manufacturing is expanding, exports are rising. India is positioning itself as a global alternative production hub. The FTA strengthens that strategy. At its core, the agreement lowers barriers on both sides. India will cut import duties on several European products. In return, Indian exporters get deeper access to one of the world's richest consumer markets. Automobiles were the toughest battleground. India's import duties on foreign cars can cross 100%. Under the deal, tariffs on EU-made vehicles are expected to fall to around 40%. This opens the door for European brands like BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen and Renault to expand in India. Luxury electric vehicles stand to gain the most. Today, high-end EVs attract heavy duties, making them expensive even for affluent buyers. Lower tariffs will make advanced electric and hybrid vehicles more affordable, bringing better technology and competition into the market. But India has drawn clear red lines. Mass market and budget vehicles remain protected. Domestic manufacturers and India's growing EV ecosystem are insulated from direct shocks. The liberalization is targeted, not sweeping. Beyond cars, the real gains for India lie in exports. Textiles, garments, footwear and leather products will get stronger access to Europe. These are labor-intensive sectors that employ millions in India. Europe exited most of these industries decades ago. That makes Indian exports complementary, not competitive. Electronics are another major winner. Smartphones already form a larger share of India's export to the EU. With lower barriers and deeper integration, India's role as a global electronics assembly and manufacturing hub will grow. Pharmaceuticals, chemicals, jewellery and engineering goods will also benefit. These sectors already export billions of dollars to Europe. The FTA improves pricing, predictability, and long-term contracts. Crucially, India protected its farmers. Sensitive farm and dairy products are excluded from the agreement. This was non-negotiable. The livelihoods of millions of small farmers remain shielded from sudden import competition. Imports from Europe will also reshape India's economy, but in a supportive way. India exports high-end machinery, advanced electronics, aircrafts, medical devices, and industrial inputs from the EU. These are not products India currently manufactures at scale. Lower tariffs will reduce costs for Indian factories, infrastructure projects, and MSMEs. Electronic components and integrated circuits from Europe feed directly into India's smartphone and electronics production lines. Aircraft imports support civil aviation growth. Medical and scientific equipment strengthens healthcare and research. Even scrap imports matter. India's recycling industry depends heavily on aluminium and brass scrap from Europe. Lower cost here helps small manufacturers and exporters. Think tanks like the Global Trade Research Initiative argue the deal will not hurt Indian industry. Instead, it will lower input costs, improve productivity, and deepen value chain integration. This is because the two economies operate at different levels. India focuses on downstream manufacturing and labor-intensive production. Europe supplies capital, goods, technology, and specialized inputs. The relationship is symbolic. There are also strategic gains. India has repeatedly objected to EU carbon levies on steel and aluminium. While these concerns remain, the FTA gives India more leverage and alternative pathways to stay competitive. It also offsets the loss of tariff preferences under Europe's old trade schemes. The timing matters geopolitically. The US is raising tariffs. China is no longer seen as a reliable supply chain anchor. Europe is actively seeking alternatives. India fits that need. For New Delhi, this deal reinforces this image as a stable, trusted economic partner. It anchors India more firmly in global trade networks at a time when fragmentation is becoming the norm. The India-EU FTA is not a silver bullet. It will face political scrutiny. It will take time to implement. Some sectors will need adjustment. But in strategic terms, the direction is clear. This deal strengthens India's manufacturing push. It boosts exports, it lowers production cost, and it positions India at the center of the next phase of global trade realignment. That is why this agreement is being called the mother of all deals.